morning.
Did you?
Not enough walking.
Was it nice out?
Yes. Well, it was until like just when I was coming back. And then it got hot.
Yeah, it's August.
And people's trash started to smell.
That's disgusting. We're live.
Oh, we are.
Do you want to get rolling?
Okay.
Do you want to run the intro? I'm leaving all of this in. This is all going in.
Great. Welcome to Porrazza Nutrition.
Yeah,
It's the Porrazza Nutrition podcast.
All right.
Set up.
You are Felicia Porrazza.
Oh, yes. I'm Felicia Porrazza.
Of Porrazza Nutrition.
See, this is why I don't do the intro.
Yeah, that's why. PorrazzaNutrition.com, YouTube.com/Porrazza Nutrition, Instagram, Porrazza Nutrition, @Porrazza Nutrition, on Twitter as well, although you don't use Twitter.
Yeah, it's linked to my Facebook. So.
And also Felicia Porrazza of My RD Journey.
Yes.
We have been much more active on YouTube lately than the pod.
Mm-hmm.
But here we are.
Yeah.
Episode whatever of Porrazza Nutrition.
5, maybe?
Sure.
6,
Let's go with 5.
7.
14.
7. I think it's 7, actually.
I'm Adam. I am the guy behind the laptop.
Producer.
Yep, that's me.
Sound engineer.
Producer, videographer, social media
Photographer, too.
guy. Yeah, I did your photography. She's got some
The headshots.
hot new headshots, you guys, up on the website.
Yes. And my socials.
Yeah, here we are. What are we talking about today?
We're going to talk about how to start getting started with your health, which is something a lot of people have been struggling with, especially in what we're in right now.
Oh, with these dark times?
Yeah. Like just getting started, not just getting motivated, because we kind of talked about that on another podcast, but like what are the first things to like actually get started? Like what are things to do?
How to start?
Yeah.
Getting started?
So what does it actually look like?
Okay.
So.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
So you always send me the write-up for these episodes, and then you ask me if I got it, and I say yes, and then I never read them. So what do you want to get into?
Well, I just resent it to you, so it would be at the top of your email.
That's why my phone blew up there just now.
What?
I saw my phone light up.
Oh, because you're popular.
Yeah. Boy, because you emailed me. You literally just said you emailed me.
Oh, well, yeah, like 5 minutes before we started. Though.
So anyway.
So one of the first things that I talk about with people who are like getting ready to get started, one is motivation, which we kind of talked about before, but just kind of taking like an assessment of what you're already doing. Like it's kind of hard to get started if you don't know where you are in your health journey, as in like what's working and what's not. In a
Wherever
sense.
you go, there
God.
you are. What? How dare you? That's sage advice, and it's true. It's true. Wherever you go,
I mean, technically,
there you are. So assessing where you are currently in your fitness doings.
Yeah, fitness and nutrition. So like thinking about like your current state and taking it from like looking at it from like an objective view too. You know, a lot of times when people are kind of assessing where they are, it comes with a lot of like guilt and, you know, being upset about, oh, I should be doing this or I should have been doing this, and kind of like criticizing themselves before they even start. Okay. So one of the first things that's been helpful for some of my clients to get started is, you know, just taking an objective look at how things are. So how often they're exercising right now, which could be nothing. I'm not saying it has to be anything right now. And then, you know, thinking about what you're eating. So that could be keeping like a food log or a food diary.
So would you write down where you are currently in terms of your exercise too?
Yep. So yeah. So in this, you know, if you're not necessarily doing planned exercise, even thinking about how much you move throughout the day. So are you typically sitting for like 8 hours, which is kind of, a lot of people are working from home right now, so they are sitting for a lot longer than they would normally be.
That's true.
So thinking about, you know, what are you doing right now? So are you typically sitting for 8 hours a day? And then, you know, with the food aspect, thinking about, okay, what am I currently eating? Again, just kind of taking it from like an objective view and saying, like, what am I actually eating?
What am I doing?
Yes. How much you're drinking, and just kind of like think about all those things, and then think about where you actually want to start. So this is where people kind of get hung up, is they take an assessment of what they're doing. You know, maybe they're not exercising enough. Maybe they're not eating as healthy as they would like to. And then instead of setting a goal that they would like to achieve, they start thinking of all the shoulds. Well, I should start eating more vegetables, and I should start drinking more water.
I mean, you can just do that though.
You can, But sometimes starting with like the shoulds usually isn't very motivating because usually that comes with like a reason of someone else wanting you to do that.
Okay.
And if you're just getting started on your health journey and you're doing the things you should do, but that aren't very exciting to you, it's kind of hard to get motivated and stay motivated. As in like, you know, you try to eat more vegetables and then you find that the recipes aren't working and it just ends up being a lot of barriers in the way.
Or that vegetables are kind of gross. Or you don't want to eat them because they don't taste good, especially like broccoli and
You like
Brussels
broccoli.
sprout. I like it when you cook it in lots of oil with lots of salt or with cheese. I don't know if anyone's heard of cheese, but it's pretty good and it goes well with broccoli and a
I
lot
do
of
not cook it with a lot of
other
oil.
things. You don't? Well,
You're lying.
Okay. Wow, that's really harsh. So, yeah. But do you write all that stuff down? Do you have a preferred method of tracking all that?
Yeah. So keeping like a food and exercise log and a hydration, you know, how much you're drinking, what kinds of things you are drinking.
How much should you drink? How much water?
So for women, it's 91 ounces per day. And for men, it's 126 ounces. And that's from the Institute of Medicine, which is about 11 and a half cups for women and 15 and a half cups for men. And it seems like a lot, but that counts towards all of your beverages. So like coffee counts,
All fluid.
seltzer, yeah, all fluids. And even, you know, like high water content foods. So like soups or watermelon, things like that count technically towards that
as
fluid.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did that at the hospital too. We would count Jello
Yeah.
or like puddings, I think too.
Yeah. Jello pudding.
Gelatin. That's interesting. So you write all this stuff down, and then you track your fluid intake, and you have to consider what you're eating as part of that also. And then you have that information, and then you do sort of an analysis of where you're at, and then do you draw a line to where you'd like to be, and then plot that out in terms of how to do it?
Yep. So you kind of create like a roadmap for yourself. So if you're looking at let's say you did track, and usually if I have people track, I suggest doing it for at least a week.
Okay. So track, like you write down everything you eat, everything you drink, and then is that it? Or do you write down your exercise too? Do you consider sleep for this?
Yep. So the more detailed, the better, because, you know, health and wellness isn't just one thing. So it's not just food. It's not just exercise. It's kind of all the components together. So if you can like look at your intake and kind of say, these days I ate really well, but I also got enough sleep, it kind of just gives you more information to work with.
Okay.
To know that maybe if you don't get enough sleep some days, you know, you're kind of snacking all day and you're not prepared.
Is that a thing?
Yeah.
You snack more if you don't sleep well?
Yeah, people tend to crave higher sugar foods and like donuts, cookies. But there's also the aspect of if you're not sleeping well and like getting shortened hours of sleep, which the recommendation is like 7 to 9 hours.
For adults.
For adults, yeah. I think it's the National Sleep Foundation has like a chart for like every age group, which is really nice. But
don't elderly people need less sleep?
Yeah, usually a little bit less, but I think it's like 6 or 7 hours. And then your average adult is like 7 to 9. And then for kids, there's different breakdowns, but it's like anywhere from like 9 to like 11 hours. Like there's like a big gap.
9 to 11 for kids.
Yeah,
That
definitely
makes
depends
sense.
on the age groups, but yeah. So yeah, if you're tracking any kind of information you could track. So sometimes I'll have people do not just their food and their exercise, but obviously their fluid, their meal timings too. So sometimes when people are skipping meals unintentionally, they end up overeating at the next meal or just grabbing things. Like they grab a muffin or they grab a handful of chocolate and they're just kind of like snacking on little things. They're not necessarily thinking about it. So writing down the timing and then writing down the emotions is also really helpful.
What does that do?
So when you think about like how food affects you, but also how you're going into a meal or snack. So, you know, I have a lot of people who are stress eaters. So they get really stressed and they turn to like chips or chocolate or like crunchy or like sweet kinds of things. Or I have some people who get really stressed out and emotional and they don't eat anything. They skip meals and then they go for long periods and then they overeat.
Oh, I was going to say, I wish I didn't eat when I was stressed. I'm the other type
Yeah.
go in.
Yeah, most people tend to be, they stress and then they eat. I would say, like, anyway, for people that I've worked with, we worked with clients where if they get too stressed, they don't eat or drink, and then they don't, they end up feeling really sick and stuff. So
I could see drinking getting away from you if you're busy. It's a lot easier to remember to eat because you feel hungry, but the first thing you feel for thirst isn't actually thirst. It's fatigue, right?
Mm-hmm.
The first thing you feel when you're dehydrated isn't thirst.
Yeah.
Which is kind of annoying because you're just tired and you don't know why.
Yeah.
But that gets away from a lot of people, I think. A lot of people just go several hours without drinking. So you mentioned like 96 or 91 ounces. What was it for
91
women?
ounces for women and 126 for men.
So let me ask you, does it matter in what quantities you drink water if you're drinking water? Like, say I realize I just went 4 hours without drinking water. Does it matter if I just chug a 32-ounce cup of water? Is that bad to do for some reason?
Not really. The concern there is that like your fluid-based balance in your body, so like flushing out the electrolytes, which if you've seen things on like overhydration, or I think there was an athlete, that like a runner that died, who was like overhydrating and ended up like flushing out like sodium, potassium. I think his heart stopped. But he was like super fit, so like it didn't make sense. But one of the things they thought it could have been was that he overhydrated without compensating for like sodium, potassium.
Okay, but I don't think it's wise to frame hydration from that perspective. That's kind of an extreme example. I don't want anyone to think that that's even going to happen because you drank a whole water bottle.
No, and that's like the far extreme.
I mean, didn't that dude drink like 2 gallons in a day or something?
Yeah, it was something like really crazy. But that aside, the only issue I've seen where people drink a lot of fluid at once is like GI distress. Just like with like feeling like really full.
So it's better to space it out, but I can't cheat and just like jam a bunch of water into me.
Yeah.
I think it's going to...
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay. So what's the most water someone should drink in one shot?
It depends on the person, but I mean, like 24 ounces isn't necessarily too much at once.
Heard it here first, folks. 24 ounces of water at a time for every human being. That's officially official from PorrazzaNutrition.com. That's a fact because she just said it. We're going with that.
No.
Okay, so...
This is a reminder that this is general, not medical advice and not a substitute for medical advice. Consult your physician before making any diet or exercise changes.
Otherwise, Felicia will consult her lawyer. That's not me.
No.
That's somebody else.
Yeah.
So, okay, you write it all down.
Yep.
And you track exercise as well as your diet, and then you track sleep also.
Mm-hmm.
Which, okay, so what role would you say sleep plays in this whole thing?
I mean,
aside from eating more. Yeah,
so there's the eating more, and there's the
when you have less sleep.
Yeah, eating more when you have less sleep, and it actually your hormones become out of whack. To put it kind of simply.
Which hormones?
Ghrelin and leptin.
Ah, the hunger hormones.
Yeah. So
what happens?
So ghrelin, which I like, this is how I usually talk about it, is ghrelin is the one that makes you go. As in like it tells you to eat, and leptin is the one that would signal you to stop eating, basically. And so those actually become out of balance. So ghrelin goes up and leptin goes down.
So the go goes up and the stop goes down.
Yeah.
When you have less sleep.
When you have less sleep, that's why it can be harder for people in terms of like quote unquote willpower.
Well, that's inconvenient.
I know. Isn't it? So that's one aspect. The other thing too is like with sleep, your body is literally repairing and
rejuvenating.
Yeah, that's a good word. It's
a $2 word.
I was just gonna say that.
You were gonna say it, but I said it first.
I know. But anyway, your body is rejuvenating, recoverating,
rejuvenating. Re-ingurgitating.
Yeah, all those are words.
Yeah, and it's good. It's great.
Yeah. There's also a lot of studies on sleep with muscle repair and recovery. So if you do start exercising and not necessarily anything even heavy lifting, but just even start exercising, your body needs that time to repair,
rejuvenate,
recover. I think that's all they are words.
Reparinate.
Yeah. Okay, moving on.
That's good. So sleep's important for a bunch of stuff, pretty much everything. So you could almost call it sort of the third pillar in terms of your general health, if you have sleep and if you have exercise and diet, I would say sleep is sort of the unsung hero that people don't consider in terms of improving their overall health. It's possibly the easiest thing to do in terms of your habits and your lifestyle is just sleep more, go to bed a little earlier.
Yeah, I mean, like with sleep in general, having a consistent schedule usually makes it easier. So sometimes when people are having a trouble going to sleep, starting to create a sleep pattern. So going to bed every night at the same time, waking up around the same time. The lights obviously play a factor too. Like,
yeah, make it dark where you sleep.
Yeah.
One thing I have found helpful for creating a regular sleep schedule is waking up at the same time every day, regardless of what time you went to sleep, because your body will eventually, if you do it even for in as little as a week, for me sometimes, you'll get tired. I mean, if you decide to stay up super late, if you wake up every morning at 7 for whatever reason, but you stayed up until like 2 a.m. for some reason or whatever, and you have the option to not get up until like 10, you should still get up at 7 because your body will be tired earlier and you'll have an easier time going to sleep at that time. Is there any credence to the notion that sleeping earlier hours in the night is quote unquote more valuable sleep? I've always heard that going to bed and being asleep between the hours of 10 p.m. and 2 a.m., that sleep has a higher value, quote unquote, than say, sleeping during the day. Or if people work third shift and they have to sleep during the day, that sleep is not quite as good for them, or that's not as valuable to their body.
Yeah, it's still valuable, but it messes with like the circadian rhythm, like your sleep-wake cycle. So sometimes people don't get as deep of a sleep if they're not sleeping during like night hours.
They're not getting that REM.
Yeah. And that's also, and just talking about sleep, being outside and like getting sunlight exposure actually can help with like the melatonin production at night.
It's
and
the
like
serotonin melatonin cycle.
Yeah. I was just reading about.
You've been playing bongos for like half of this podcast, hitting that, and it's fine. I could probably edit some of it out, but Oops. If you get sunlight on your skin, your body gets serotonin from that and then converts it to melatonin throughout the day. Is that how it works?
I don't think it converts it. I could be wrong. I just know it helps with the production
of melatonin.
Yeah.
Okay. And then when your body gets serotonin from sunlight during the day, produces melatonin, and later on toward the nighttime, you have an easier time getting tired and falling asleep because of the melatonin production.
Yes. And with like the melatonin too, like calming yourself down helps with that like relaxation state too. So like not stimulating yourself right before bed.
So isn't there something to do with cortisol levels, and don't they naturally elevate during the hours of the day where the sun is up in the sky, and don't they decrease when it's getting dark and when it's dark outside? I mean, isn't that where some of the value in sleep is? Isn't it easier to fall asleep if your cortisol is low?
Yeah, and that's like, quote unquote your stress hormone. Like that's released in like times of stress where like you're
during
running
exercise
exercise, and it could be good or bad stress. It could be chronic stress, like getting angry and being in traffic, or like
traffic's always the example of chronic stress.
Yeah, or like running away in like a dangerous situation,
that's acute stress though.
Yeah, for acute, but I mean like your cortisol levels
would spike and then quickly decrease.
Yep.
But so if that's one of the stress, I guess, if we want to just take a quick tangent. Stress is one of the major causes of throwing your body off and interfering with weight management and can contribute to chronic illness and other things, right?
Yeah, it can also lead to more inflammation in the body, which inflammation has been linked to a lot of different chronic diseases. I mentioned stress eating earlier.
Yeah, and that can be linked, right?
Yep.
Because that's one thing that I always think is funny is that when we drive to and from work or commutes and stuff, especially for people who have a longer commute that's stressful, that like half hour to 1 hour of mild stress can really be detrimental to your health because it's chronic stress that the body's not really prepared well to deal with chronic stress in a healthy way. Stress is sort of meant to be acute from everything I've seen and read about why our bodies produce the hormones that they do. It's meant to spike and then give you a high sort of, it's not adrenaline per se, but cortisol is meant to help you deal with the stress.
Yeah, and you get like a flush of like glucose into your bloodstream because the idea is that you need to like use it to fight or run away or do something.
Right. You're meant to do something when you have high cortisol, and if you're just sitting in your car experiencing mild pulses of stress and very low amounts of cortisol, then it's bad.
Yeah.
Isn't that really bad?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because cortisol was always meant to be like the fight or flight hormone, and it's just it's just funny that your commute to work is like the most stressful part of it can be a very stressful part of your day without realizing it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something I've always told people when I was managing a team of employees, not at Bucks because they were not at my most recent job because they were all very close. But the point I'm getting at is if you can make your commute less stressful for you by listening to something relaxing like a podcast, like a podcast or music or something. If you can make your car somewhere that's low stress when you're on your way to work and enjoy that time, it's probably really good for you. I used to for like almost a year and a half rode my motorcycle to work exclusively, which was not only stress free but like a fun time. I don't know. I think it did a lot of good for me when I was doing it. But that's one of those things that you don't really think about. And if your commute is just like a half hour or 45 minutes of gridlock traffic and you freaking out at people who are cutting into your lane or like stuff that people do that's stupid in traffic, which is a lot. I know that's driving is pretty stressful, especially if you're in a big city. But it's just something that I don't think people think about. I think it's just something we accept. And it's a bigger stressor than you would think it would be if you consider hormones.
Yeah, especially because, like, with commutes, too. I mean, think about all the factors that go along with it. So you've got the stress level, and for that, it can end up doing a lot of things. Someone might be stressed, and that triggers them to, mindlessly eat food while they're in the car, and they get to work, and they're stressed, and they, go and grab a donut or an energy drink because they're all kind of like amped up in a sense. And so that can like lead to this kind of like spiral of unhealthy food choices. Or, the idea of like stress sometimes too, especially in those kinds of situations, can lead people to wanting more alcohol, and so then that can also inhibit, weight loss progress too.
Any sort of vice or destructive habit. Make people smoke more cigarettes or...
Yeah, smoke. That's a good example too.
Yeah.
And make it harder to stop doing those things. So, even if you're someone who that's, are habits that you're looking to change and you have all this kind of chronic stress that you're not necessarily managing well, it makes it that much harder to make the positive changes, for yourself.
Yeah. So I would almost say stress management is right up there with diet, exercise, and sleep.
Yeah.
It's kind of the not so distant fourth.
No, I mean, there's a lot of terms for it, but there's like the dimensions of wellness and like wellness wheel.
Is stress on the wheel?
Emotions, I think they have it slotted under emotional. But there's like social health, emotional health, financial health, and then like, nutrition, exercise, like physical wellness. But it is a huge part of like overall.
You're being
wellness.
Very Italian with your...
Sorry.
I think you just hit my laptop too. What are you... You're just destructive.
So yeah, I should have went for a walk.
This is what she does. She will attack the objects in our home without any kind of, concern for her body, and wakes up with bruises and wonders how she has a bruise on her elbow or her leg or something. It's like you attacked the furniture. That's why.
Hit the fridge yesterday.
You kind of did. It was weird, but we didn't have to go to the hospital or anything, so
no,
all
good.
Is well that ends well. So we didn't really get into detail with starting per se, but it's all those things kind of culminated that you would track.
Yeah,
I assume.
Like thinking, and I use the word tracking and like food logs and stuff, but like even keeping like a journal for a couple of days, which can include all of these different components. And thinking, okay, here's all the different things that are happening right now. And what are things that, one, I can change, focus on those first. or if you feel like you can change. Often people say, well, I can't change this or I can't change that, but you can change how you react to it. Like you might not be able to change the fact that you have a commute, but you can change how you react in the situation of your commute itself and, managing the stress along with it. So, the point is that you look at all these things, you think about, okay, what can I start with? And what am I interested in starting with? Don't tackle the thing that, has like a hardness level of 10, but maybe start with something a little easier just to kind of ease yourself in, something a little more manageable.
Well, wake up earlier and drive slower.
Yeah.
That's my advice for anyone who's got a long commute. That changed everything for me when I was driving an old man car back during college and the few years after.
Yeah, like not rushing, or like for me driving, with music on, or having a playlist can help, or some people for like listening to a podcast or something like that.
Yeah.
Can be helpful just to kind of distract them.
Seriously though, almost all of the stress of driving for me completely evaporated when I just decided to slow down and drive passively. Let people go around me and let people in anytime I could and just be that person, because then if you're not in a rush, if you develop the habit of not being in a rush when you're driving, even when you're running behind, you still don't rush.
Yeah.
Oddly.
Yeah. I like having a buffer myself, but
you're early for everything. Literally everything. If it's starting at 2, you're there at 1:30.
Yeah. I like
minimum.
I like to not rush, but I also I don't like people waiting on me. So I would so much rather be early than have someone wait for me.
Yeah, so. Well, that's you in your business, you have clients, and the general notion is that you wait for the client. You don't make the client wait on you. Mm-hmm. Pretty much anyone who has a business where that's the model, that's what is said.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
So we're tracking things.
Yes, you track things. You take kind of like analysis of it. You see where you might want to start, seeing what's actually interesting for you to start with, and then pick whatever that thing is. So and don't just say like, oh, my diet is terrible, I want to eat healthy. That's not like a measurable goal. Yeah, it's too vague. So, think of something very specific. What is it about your diet that you would like to change? And sometimes I'll have people like list out all the changes they need to make or they want to make or they should make, all of those words together. They list everything out and then they look at the list and say, okay, I think I'd rather start with reducing sugary beverages and drinking more water. Or I want to start with adding more vegetables to my plate. And they identify dinner as being something that they want to start with. But usually, working through that list in a way of things that you would like to do first, especially because that can help build a little bit of motivation and, something you might be interested in doing. But you're kind of taking it like piece by piece. So.
Okay. So what, you record everything you do for like a week?
Yep. So record what you're doing for a week. And then after you take that analysis of like your week, see where you want to start from that.
And then what, incrementally change things one thing at a time, introduce it slowly?
Yeah, so it could be one or two things. And it could be like broad goals where you might say like, okay, my goal is to eat more vegetables. And so you kind of break that down to say, okay, well, right now I'm only eating 1 vegetable a day. So I want to bump that up to long-term goal, 3 cups of vegetables per day.
Good Lord.
And so.
Better be corn. Or potatoes. Something that tastes good that I can add salt and butter to.
What is with the butter today?
It tastes good. What do you mean, what is with the butter today? What is with the butter?
Oil and butter
every day. It tastes good. I don't care if it's bad for me. I want to eat it. It tastes good. We don't have butter.
We have fake butter. I mean, it's not really fake. I
can't believe it's not butter.
It's not, I can't believe it's not butter.
We should get the spray, though. You ever have that? It's really good. That's healthy, right? You endorse that? Are you sponsored by I Can't Believe It's Not Butter
literally
spray?
Literally just all sodium.
With Fabio on the front?
Funny story, actually.
Lay it on us.
When I was in my internship, there was someone inpatient that was quite elderly, otherwise healthy. I think the reason they were in the hospital was not something like related to, I think it was like a broken bone or something. It wasn't something like a heart attack or anything. But anyway, this individual was using 1 of those bottles of spray. I can't believe it's not butter per day.
Per day?
They literally put it on everything. And I looked at it. It's mostly like sodium.
Yeah,
like
it's just like
all
sodium and oil, right?
Yeah, I don't know if it's changed since. That was like, I don't know,
Oh my
6
God.
or 7 years ago. But it was just
one like 4-ounce bottle or something.
Yeah, like those. And I was like,
how?
What do you put it on? Like, because that's a lot of
literally everything.
Literally, it was everything.
Squirted into their cornflakes.
Every single meal.
That's
every
disgusting.
Snack.
Have a banana and get some. I can't believe it's not butter spray on that.
It's just on everything.
Banana, peanut butter and jelly, and I can't believe it's not butter.
It's like
that's disgusting.
They're like, is that okay to do?
Not really. I would think. I mean, it's probably not going to kill you, but
well, I was like,
can't be good.
The sodium's a little high.
Yeah. I mean, if it's all you have. Oh, you know what else was really good? Those butter flakes that you can shake on and stuff.
I never had those.
I still love those. My mom has them sometimes. She used to.
Just put it on like popcorn, or
you can put it on
everything.
I just put it on potatoes.
Oh, interesting.
Man, I want some potatoes now.
We have potatoes.
Of course we do. Yeah, you should probably not have a bottle of that per day, though.
No, that was...
Everything in excess is a little bit too much, I would think.
Yeah.
With pretty much anything, you don't want to go crazy, even if it's not harmful in small doses.
No, and that's a good point is, even like with quote unquote healthy food too, is, sometimes people overdo it on one thing, and there's a couple issues with that. One is that it can make people bored of what they're doing. And then two, it can also lead to, like, let's say they're doing a lot of like fruit or
that one was a lot. All the motorcycles are out today. It's nice outside. It's 5 p.m. So they're all out right now.
Yeah. But if doing like one thing a day, one, it can get pretty boring. Two is I don't remember what question you asked me.
That lady, she didn't get bored of I can't believe it's not butter spray. I think she just probably really liked Fabio. I think he was on the
Is that who
bottle. Do you know who Fabio is?
He's like the...
He's the pretty Italian man who was on the cover of like every romance novel in the 90s.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's super hot.
Oh.
I'd probably leave you for him.
Wow.
In his prime, though, not now. In his prime.
Okay. Then.
So we were talking about your food choices, I believe.
Yeah, so like creating a goal, breaking it into like smaller kind of like action items in a sense. So like, I mentioned vegetables being like a goal of yours. So let's say if you do like 3 cups of vegetables is the goal per day. Right now you're at 1 vegetable, like maybe a half a cup a day. It might be unrealistic to jump up from like half a cup to 3 cups all of a sudden.
Incremental changes though.
Yeah, incremental changes, but you kind of like have to take a step back and say, what do I need to succeed? So.
Ooh, that's fun.
Yeah.
That's fun to say. What do I need to succeed?
Yeah.
That's like a leadership training buzzword.
It does. It's
sound. It's like a Simon Sinek line or something. I don't know if you know who he is.
I read a couple of his books.
Did you really?
Why.
Oh, that's the guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
I bet you he has said that
probably
at some point. What do I need to succeed?
Yeah, and that's where you say to yourself, okay,
self.
I need to go to the store. I need to actually have vegetables in the house. I need to have vegetables that I like to eat.
Frozen,
yeah. Oh, that was probably loud.
Yeah, you are all over the place right now.
So
I keep
sorry.
adjusting. You're not sorry. You don't care at all. I'm the sound engineer. That's why I'm here.
I'm holding my hands right now.
Twiddling some knobs. So you don't stop punching my laptop. Weirdo. So frozen vegetables, they don't expire, so you don't throw them in the trash when you don't eat them for a week.
Yeah, they do.
Well, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say they do expire, but they have a way longer shelf life.
Come on. Yeah. I mean, technically, sure. But it's canned food expires eventually, too. It's just 20 years later or whatever.
Yeah.
But you can do what Felicia does and absolutely pack the ever-living Jesus out of the fridge and the freezer to the point where you open it and it's just a little cutout for where the cold air comes out. And that's all the room that's in there, and there's stuff falling off of the doors. Because then at that point, you put yourself in a position where you kind of have to eat it. Otherwise, you literally have no freezer space, and it's a problem.
Or you open the freezer and it's going to fall out.
Yeah, you can always
to eat vegetables.
Yeah, you can back yourself into a corner and have so much broccoli and green beans and spinach, chopped spinach, or whatever.
And kale. That's usually what's
in the freezer that you feel compelled. Actually, you know what? If you did buy the fresh stuff, that would kind of make you use it, but you'd probably just throw it out.
It depends, yeah. I mean, I have some people who they'll buy the fresh stuff and they make it a point to eat it. And then others who like are like, oh, I need to eat that. Oh, I need to make a salad. Oh, I need to do this. And then they're like, oh, it's moldy. Or they self-sabotage where they're like, I know I need to eat that and it's going to go bad if I don't. And then they like actively avoid it to the point where it's like, oh God, it's bad. Now I have to throw it away and I can't eat it.
Yeah, so, whoops.
Yeah. So sometimes it's
frozen.
Yeah, frozen is good. Or like buying things you actually enjoy eating. Like you don't need to eat kale. Like, I mean, kale is great and all, but like if you don't like it, don't buy it.
Hot take. Kale is great and all, you guys, but if you don't like it, don't buy it.
Yeah.
Sage advice.
Yeah.
Right there.
And I say that because I've had people say like, well, I know I should eat kale because it's good for me, or spinach because it's good for me. And it's, again.
You don't have to eat kale.
No.
It's true. I've heard this from you just now.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore,
I'm dropping all
true.
these truths here.
Follow Felicia on
gosh,
Instagram at
Porrazza
Nutrition so she can stop punching my laptop.
I punched
or was it the microphone? Okay. Same.
You should just go back to holding my hands.
Sure.
But anyway, if you buy fresh stuff, buy stuff that you can frozen. Buy stuff that you could freeze. So like bananas or berries or things like that, where you might eat them as is, but then be able to freeze them and use them in like a shake or oatmeal or a muffin later. Or even with the fresh stuff, like I will buy fresh spinach or kale and then use it in soups.
Felicia makes soups.
I do make soups. I love soup.
Big pots of soup. We have soup for like 4 days right now.
We do. It's such a convenient way to eat vegetables.
Yeah, you can just throw anything you want in there with a little bit of tomato base, and then boom, you got yourself a hearty soup.
Yeah.
Felicia's soup is like 80% guts.
Yeah.
Which
like
to some people it's really good. It's like a stew.
Yeah, that's the way I like it better.
That's the way. Oh
my God.
You like it?
Yeah.
That was disgusting. I'm gonna have to mute that. Okay.
So,
frozen vegetables. That's one way to do it. Fruit, whole grains.
Mm-hmm.
Cheeseburgers on.
No.
No?
No.
I did try to sneak it in. She didn't. She said no, guys.
And, when you're kind of thinking about making changes and adding and swapping, don't think about changing everything at once. Often people are getting started with like healthy eating. They're like, oh, I can never have pizza again, or I can never have this again. And I'm so sorry. I'm like, don't know what's wrong with
That's
today.
good. For reference, anyone who's not, she hit the mic again. It's okay. We're gonna leave them all in. All of them are. I'm gonna have a little counter going off in the corner. How many times you punched the mic this episode?
I'm sitting on my hands.
That's all right. You're sitting on your hands.
Because I don't know why. I just want to keep swinging it today.
Well, how often do you have a mic in front of you? How many times have we done this? You've only done this for like 10 hours so far collectively, I guess.
Wait, I think the problem is we're at the table.
Oh.
And before we were at the couch, and there was more space for me
you
to
swing your arms around
but
around
now I'll hit
violently.
the table, so I just hit the table.
Yeah, you did.
But yeah, so anyway, when you're thinking about making changes, don't necessarily think about things that you're not going to be able to have, because one, you're not a robot.
So you're saying just eat the pizza?
Yeah,
eat pizza every day.
Not every day, but
just the whole pizza.
But kind of,
every day.
Pizza, like a lot of people do pizza Fridays, and they're like, "Oh, I'm starting to eat healthy. I can't have pizza Fridays anymore." And it kind of depends on you. Depends on your wellness plan. It depends on if that's something that you want to do every Friday because it's a whole experience with your family.
I think pizza day is Thursday.
Why is it Thursday?
I don't know. It's just when we had pizza.
Oh, I was always pizza Friday because people like don't want to cook and it's the weekend.
Sacrilege. Yeah, it's Friday. You're right.
Yeah. See.
Yep, that was always pizza day for us.
Yeah.
Friday night. Order pizza.
Yeah, you don't feel like cooking, whatever.
Better ingredients. Better pizza.
Oh.
Papa John's.
No, this is not sponsored by them.
Yeah, sponsored by Papa John's.
No,
Felicia Porrazza, Porrazza Nutrition, sponsored by Papa John's.
People get really angry about that, by the way. So
what, being sponsored?
Yeah, like some of my big like dietitian meetings have like some sponsors that are big food companies.
And people get angry about that?
Yeah, it's like a revolt.
Why? Because there's collusion or something?
Yeah, like then they're influencing.
Oh.
I mean, I understand, obviously, but at the same time, they also need like money to run some of these things.
Yeah, well, sometimes it's like when Coca-Cola tries to sponsor it, and then they have a speaker that has to like rep Coca-Cola or something.
That's where it's a little weird. But a lot of those big brand food companies now have like healthier products. I'm not promoting them necessarily.
Coca-Cola Life discontinued.
Is that the Splenda?
Yeah, it was like half. Yeah, I don't see it anymore.
Oh.
Maybe it's around somewhere still, but I don't. It probably does still exist. I just don't go to stores because of the state of the world right now.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's another day. Oh my God, that's another story.
Did you hit the mic again?
I kicked it.
I was gonna say, did you headbutt it because you're sitting on your hands? That's fine.
But yeah, so we were talking about like, I don't know what we're talking about.
Make it easy on yourself with food.
Make it easy on yourself. So when you're getting started, make it simple. And one thing I always talk to my clients about is, don't frame it as all the things you can't eat anymore, because honestly, it's like setting you up for failure to say that like you're going to like have a terrible time eating healthy because you can never have X, Y, and Z, chocolate, chips, whatever it is.
How do you feel about cheat days? I don't like that. Already your reaction. I don't like it.
Not great. And here's why.
What about a cheat meal?
I don't like
once a week.
I don't like the idea of it being a cheat. I don't like the cheat terminology, only because just from my experience with working with people, it's that the idea is having a cheat is that you're good all week and now you can cheat and you deserve it. And so there's this sense of like restriction. Like I have to restrict my calories and exercise and be good so I deserve this ice cream. And it kind of attributes a lot of like emotion to food.
Okay.
And this kind of like weird power struggle with food. And where, if someone isn't good, then that means they're bad and they're a bad person. And it leads to like a lot of guilt. And it's so convoluted together, but it's just so much of what I see, to be honest.
Okay. I'm just curious. I don't mean to imply anything with this. Is that primarily female clients?
Yeah. I would say probably primarily females that I see most of that with, but I think that ties into a lot of like the whole body image and
And I don't say that
thin.
I don't say that as like a dig against women. I it's actually kind of a low key compliment, because more women care about what they look like and their health and their weight and stuff. And I have a feeling men just don't give a G dang as much.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. I mean, to be honest, a lot of times with my clients, some of my male clients are focused more on certain factors. So like blood sugar or energy or fitness and fueling for exercise or feeling good, where a lot of my female clients, this is not to put people in boxes by any means, but a lot more of my female clients are concerned about how they look. Primarily, and then the health factors kind of later, in terms of like how like their joints hurt or, other like cardiovascular disease or like managing blood sugar or things like that. And the issue with that is, I mean, there's many issues, but a lot of my clients who focus just on the weight, that's kind of more fleeting and it's kind of more of an external motivator.
You really just can't resist beating up my equipment, can you?
I'm having a terrible time right now.
It's because we're at the table. Change of scenery. It's very unfamiliar. If you're only listening, we're at a different place in the same room, but that's okay. So, well, I kind of disagree with the cheat day thing, but I think it's because I'm not like your clients typically.
I would say you're probably a lot different than most of the clients
because
I work with.
for me and a primary influence for my approach to dieting and eating was Tim Ferriss with his 4-Hour Body book. And that cheat day, the way he framed it was kind of like you use cheat days or cheat meals. I think he would do like a half a day as an incentive to eat well all week, because you're not depriving yourself of the thing that you actually want. You're just not having it right now, and instead you have it all in one shot, and you still get to have it, but you don't have it in that immediate time. So it's almost like it's not really a way of restricting yourself. It's a way of like kind of planning your fun eating, I guess.
Like an incentive kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's sort of a reward for, I don't know, sticking to the plan, I guess. And he also talks about how having large amounts in a short span of unhealthy food is not as bad of a net impact as having small amounts of bad food every day in terms of your body.
Yeah, I think it all depends. And, again, it depends on the person and their lifestyle and how they feel about food. But one of the issues I see with like cheat meals or cheat days is, again, for most of my clients, it tends to turn into like a cheat meal and then a cheat weekend and then a cheat Monday. And
then that's not a cheat day.
No. And so I think there's that kind of issue of...
You're just off the wagon.
Yeah. And it's, again, not necessarily coming from a place of restriction to say that you can't have those foods, but sometimes people feel better with having it in small doses whenever they feel like it. So it's like, I'm kind of feeling chocolate on a Thursday, and they have a piece and they just move on. Versus like, I have to wait until Friday and then they have chocolate, and now it's like, well, I'm not gonna be able to have it until next week, and they kind of like gorge themselves, and then it's like, why am I doing this diet? I can't have foods that I like, and it's
becomes this negative spiral.
Yeah, and that's kind of
sucks.
It's a lot, and it's hard to pull yourself away from that kind of mentality.
I don't know. When I was doing that, it was fun. My cheat days were epic. I had some weird Instagram posts for a little while. I took a box of fruit roll-ups or fruit by the foot and opened them all and then combined them into one giant mega fruit by the foot.
Remember that?
Yeah, or like I for one day I just bought a whole ice cream cake and ate it.
I remember that they do.
Yeah, I mean these were big epic cheat days. It was fun. I used to plan them around social things sometimes, like when I was hanging out with friends and I knew we were going to go rock climbing, and then we would usually have something junky to eat, stop at a restaurant or get McDonald's or something like that, and I would make those days my cheat days.
Yeah.
And it would be like an epic meal of grandiose proportions. I challenge anyone who's listening to this to try to spend $20 at McDonald's and then eat it all.
Ugh.
It was fun while I was doing it.
Yeah. I think you brought up a good point of there's a big difference between how you're talking about it as more of like a fun experience versus like a reward system, because just often when I find, I mean, and this even goes back to like some of the stuff with like children too, like using food as a reward is almost in a sense that you have to earn your food. You have to earn a cookie. And so much of that isn't what's just, terrible about this whole thing is like, and like diet culture as it's termed, is that it's kind of ingrained in people from when they're younger. You did well, you get a cookie. If you don't do well, you can't have a cookie. And it's like, I can't just have a cookie because I want a cookie.
No.
It's like,
no, you can't.
Or things like that where there's just this reward system. And I mean, they stopped a lot of that. And what was schools with like candy, for doing well.
Yeah, I used to get candy in school.
And it attributes, again, you do well, you deserve this. And what the issue is that I have a lot of clients that they grew up with that kind of mentality, and now they're like, they had a great day today, they deserve ice cream. That's kind of the mindset. Like, I deserve this bowl of ice cream.
Yeah, I could see that becoming a sort of form of self-toxicity if you use food in a weird cyclical way to reward yourself. And then if you overindulge, you attach some meaning to it that has like a sort of negative effect, and then that can cause you to stress eat. It could become a weird sort of negative forward feedback loop.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
That's a shame. I don't know if I've ever felt that. Maybe I have. I'm not sure, but that's such a first world problem. Jeez. How fortunate we are to live in a time where we have such an excessive amount of food that having too much is the problem.
Yeah.
Beats the crap out of starving to death. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it's such a different,
So we are tracking our food.
Yep.
We are food mood connection.
Yes.
Into consideration.
Yeah.
We are creating achievable goals for ourselves.
Yes.
And improving incrementally to keep things realistic. And that's after tracking for a while and assessing the situation. Then we have these incremental goals. Then what?
So you've got your incremental goals. And when you're thinking about setting your goals, I really suggest to anybody create like a long-term wellness vision of yourself, which seems so weird to say is like wellness vision, but like who do you want to be as your like future self in a positive way? You know, and some people think about weight loss, but think beyond that. How do you want to feel? You know, do you want to feel more energetic? Do you want to have an easier time moving around? Do you want to have better control of your blood sugar? And kind of creating this kind of like overarching goal. So as you're thinking and planning these little steps along the way, it's for a big reason. Like that's can be motivating.
Wherever
like,
you go,
oh my God,
there you are. Be the change that you want to see in the world.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. No message could be any clearer. If you want to make the world a better place,
now wait.
take a look at yourself, and then to make that change.
No.
So
moving on.
Do you know that song?
I do know that song. I don't live under a rock.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it's hard to tell. You gotta play Cards Against Humanity with Felicia one of these days. We'll play that on stream one day, so I can share with the world how bizarre your perception of pop culture is.
How awesome.
So yeah, that's what I was going for. That's what I meant to say. How awesome you are at the game. Yep.
Yeah.
So we're achieving the incremental goals,
and
then you're saying you want to pursue your vision of who you want to become.
Yeah, and if you search like wellness vision, you'll come up with a lot of things, and sometimes it's like a statement, sometimes it's like a vision board. We did this actually together.
We did? You and
I?
The
wellness vision for my coaching program.
Oh, okay.
But that like future statement of yourself, it could be like bullet points. But just having that is kind of, and I always use this like roadmap kind of experience. It's like, you know, you have this kind of end goal in mind, and that big overarching goal, whatever that is. And along the way, you have these little like rest stops and like pit stops. And that's the whole idea, is that it's a journey to get there. So it's not going to happen overnight. But you have like a goal of eating more vegetables, a goal of exercising more, just all along the way to bring you to this like bigger long-term goal. And it doesn't mean that once you get there that you're done, but you've created these behaviors along the way, healthy behaviors. So the more you can kind of set yourself up with these little pieces to kind of build on one another, the more you have this like, you know, things in place and like habits being formed that support you when you get to what you want. So, oh gosh, are you going to say wherever you want?
No.
Okay.
A journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step.
Yeah. That's a good one. That made more sense.
Wherever you go.
Oh God. Okay, here we are.
There you are. That's what the title of this episode's going to be.
You were going to be like, what the heck?
Yeah, what the heck?
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Stop hitting my microphone.
So
That's your microphone. My microphone's stained.
No.
You keep punching it. That is your microphone, though.
I just kicked the microphone.
You
anyway,
are relentless today with this. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm going to leave all these noises in, and then she's going to listen to it and realize
I'm going to cringe
what she's been doing
really hard
this whole time. So you envision a version of yourself that you want to become, and that is at the end of your quote-unquote roadmap.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, with thinking of your vision of yourself, think in terms of positive is one of the biggest things. You know, not I'm going to be
the very best.
Well, I mean, positive as in not to say, like, people tend to just focus on the weight loss aspect, and they're but focus on like the here and now, like how, if you were physically in that place, what would it be like? And it might be like you're going to feel strong, you're going to feel energetic, you're going to feel more comfortable, you know, you're going to have less blood sugar swings, whatever it is. But think in the terms of positive, because the more positive you can make that, the more that people are going to like actually want to do it. If you're setting yourself up to say like something negative, and I'm trying to like think of a good example to use here, but
I want to be the very best.
Think beyond weight, I think, is my point.
Like no one ever was.
What?
It's fine.
Did I miss something?
No.
Oh.
No. You didn't miss anything. So that's good. You set an achievable goal. You draw yourself on the fridge in a Superman suit, the cape flailing in the wind, and you have bulging muscles.
Yeah. Make it realistic,
Realistically bulging muscles.
Well, not okay.
Flying through the air with laser vision. But you create an image of yourself that you want to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
You keep yourself motivated by sort of dangling that carrot. And as long as it's not something crazy unrealistic, it's something that you can see yourself achieving that's probably helpful in terms of pursuing that goal.
Yeah. And the reason why I keep saying don't use weight as a factor is because...
Like on the scale?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to that. But one of the things is that if you're, like in general, if you're setting yourself up to say, I want to lose 20 pounds, a lot of times it's for an event. Like for the summer, for a wedding, for yada, 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 whatever you're going to do. And what the problem there is that it's generally those are very short-term experiences. But once they're over, like that's it. Or like people are like, I can do this for 30 days. And then afterwards they're like done. They didn't really create any habits that are going to last for a while.
Yeah.
So
the big one is bikini season.
Yeah.
That's always the joke.
Yeah.
That was always the joke for me and the gym bros back when we used to go to the gym together.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we would tell each other.
Yeah.
As though we were going to wear bikinis. That was the joke. We were hilarious.
Yeah.
Gotta look good in my two-piece.
I mean, to be honest,
how do you feel about
bikinis?
How do you feel about Speedos for men?
Oh.
I believe they call them banana hammocks.
Oh, God.
Is the official term.
Why are we talking about this?
Well, I was thinking about, it's big in Europe.
Yeah.
It's fashionable.
I don't know. To be honest, I don't really care. Like,
if I wear a Speedo?
No.
Would you be embarrassed?
No, I wouldn't. And I think because it's like, whatever, if you feel good in a Speedo, wear a bikini. Like, to be honest, a lot of my clients, it's exactly,
I hope I'm getting a Speedo now.
It's fine. I can care less what you wear.
I'm going to get one that's as close to my skin tone as possible.
Oh, God. You just get a nude one then.
Well, yeah, sure. There you go.
Anyway, I mean, a lot of times, most of the time, to be honest, it's like if you're going to like a pool or a beach, most people are so wrapped up in what they're doing that they're not really paying attention.
No one cares. No one cares what you're doing and what you look like. They're too concerned about what they look like and what they're doing.
Yeah. But it's like if you want to wear a bikini, like because you feel good in one, or it's easier because like going to the bathroom is way easier in a bikini than it is in one piece, especially if you like are in a pool. But like wear a bikini.
Did you just say you pee in the pool?
No, then.
Did you just? That sounded like you just said you pee in the pool.
What
is that? What you just said?
No.
You said it's easier to go to the bathroom.
I don't like being in the water, anyways.
Yeah, you pretty much never do go in the water.
No, I hate the water.
It's a little weird because you were a swim instructor for so long. And you probably spent hours in the pool.
Oh, I used a lot of excuses. Like if I had like screaming children, I used to work with like little kids. By the way, so it's like 6 and under. It's called a flip and float class.
And you would not be in the water?
Usually I would be, but sometimes if we had like children that were like deathly afraid of the water, I would like sit on the side with my feet in with them just to get them acclimated to like being in a pool.
You just gotta throw them in.
No, you
gotta pick them up and toss them in head first.
You know what's funny is that with like teaching kids to swim that are like under the age of 1 or 2, like that's a lot of. I was watching another dietitian. They had like a learn to swim in like a couple of days. Like it was like 5 days or 6 days, but that's a lot of it is like literally putting them in the water. Like
you just dunk them.
Well, I mean, like not like holding their head under, but like they're pretty innate,
Yeah, I've seen the classes where it's like people have their baby and they put them in the water and the baby just kind of waddles around like in the water naturally, like it's a thing they just know how to do.
Yeah, it's like crazy. I've seen like some videos on it, but it's just really interesting. But anyway, I was not working with those young. I was like 5 and 6 year olds.
It's all part of the conspiracy of the aquatic ape theory. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
You ever hear the aquatic ape theory? We came from the ocean. We evolved. We were all mermaids and mermen.
Oh.
Google that if you want to go down a weird rabbit hole tonight. Whoever's listening, check out aquatic ape theory. Not something we endorse here on the Porrazza Nutrition Podcast, but it makes for a weird evening if you want to do some weird. Want to do some reading and watching of something goofy. It's not quite Bush did 9/11 conspiracy theory, but it's out there.
I feel like we're gonna get some weird comments.
Well, I don't think we'll get anywhere. Nearly an hour in at this point. So.
Oh, really? I'm talking for that long?
Yeah. If you've listened for this long, go ahead and drop a comment. that says aquatic ape theory. I want to see if anyone says anything about it. But anyway,
That would be nice.
that's our.
Appreciate that.
So we are pursuing the best version of ourselves, or a better version of ourselves as our end big time goal. And then, so what do you do if you achieve that? So you have some ideal. You said don't use weight as a marker, but if you have some ideal figure or some ideal amount of vegetables consumed per day, like what do you do if you achieve all of these incremental goals? Did you just set more?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on where you are in your stage. The maintenance stage, honestly, is the hardest in terms of sticking with the changes. And what often throws people out of maintenance stage is like life events. So like holidays and like, or like family dynamics, like there's a death in the family. It just kind of throws people for a loop, obviously. And getting back to where they were, or an injury like that can.
Oh, yeah, that'll do it. When I broke my foot, that was fun. But that's the whole, isn't it like that whole 6-week period between Thanksgiving and New Year's is prime season to go way off the rails?
Yeah, and it's,
I don't care. Me personally, anything goes. I
mean, it's kind of like, I don't know. One of the things with food, and I was just talking to somebody about this, was that, we're not, I think I said this earlier, we're not robots. Food is so much in terms of like emotion and social, and it's how we celebrate. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but like sometimes people are so hyper focused on how much portion sizes of this and that they can't have this and they're on a diet, that they lose the experience of like being with family and friends because they're so wrapped up in the food. And so sometimes I'll tell people, like, for the holidays or whatever, like, just enjoy yourself.
Treat yourself.
Yeah, and like focus on what you can do.
Treat yourself. Treat yourself.
Like, drink more water. Or I said water. Ooh.
Water.
I tried.
Water.
Like drinking, hydrating well, or getting an exercise, just to even walk with your family or something, focus on what you can add versus taking away. And, sometimes it helps people with, getting through those times where they're enjoyable and not just something to get through.
Until I'm physically uncomfortable for every family holiday and vacation, and I don't care. All bets are off.
Yeah.
I am gaining weight.
Everyone knows that.
I am being reckless. I'm making myself physically unable to get up and sit down comfortably. Every family holiday we have, every year for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Because that should be, I don't know. I do think that there is some element of emotion to associate with food that can be good in a good way. Like if it's social, if you are with family, or, I don't eat this really anymore, but if I ever have black raspberry ice cream, that always brings back some very warm memories I have with my grandparents, because I would eat it every time I went to their house.
Yeah.
So I have a strong association with them and this ice cream.
Yeah.
Which is arbitrary and kind of a weird thing to just pull out of nowhere. But, sometimes I think the emotional attachment to food can be constructive or positive.
Yeah.
Your brother-in-law has a family recipe for stuffing that I am fond of. That includes an embarrassing amount of butter, but it's very good.
Yeah.
And I will always eat it every year.
But see, that's what food should be. It should be fun and enjoyable and something that brings you fond memories. And that's what I try to get people back to, because there's so much around like ice cream. It's unhealthy, and it's like, for me to tell someone that they can't have ice cream that brings them a fond memory of like their grandparents or their parent or their children, like, how is that living? And that's, and that's part of the problem too, is, there's so much tied to negative emotion with food that it's bringing it back to kind of the positive experience where food is actually enjoyable and a social, like, I don't know. I have a lot of experiences with like food with like my nana, and like, with my family, and even my mom, like weird, not even something she necessarily made, but like, I just remember always like canned soup, which is not necessarily something that we eat. Like I do a lot of homemade soups, but like every time I think of like snowing, I just think of me and my dad outside shoveling, or like us outside building something, or all of, like whoever was home. And then like my mom would put on a can of soup. We would have a sleeve of crackers. Like it was just, I don't know, it was just something we did. And it was like a very like homey kind of
fond memory of your childhood and time you spent with your family.
Yeah. And so like, it's something that, I don't necessarily do now, but like for me to tell a client that they can't do something like that brings them a fond memory, or they do something because it was something their mom always did, or their, I don't know.
You just tried making something that your mom always made last week.
I don't know what it's called, but it's like a vegetable stir fry, and she used to put like egg in it and stuff. It's like a teriyaki. I don't know. I have no clue, but I didn't even ask her for the recipe. I probably could have made it better, but
I think you did a pretty good job recreating it. I have no idea what it was like when she made it, but it was good when you made it. So
yeah, I don't know what prompted me to make that, but that was like something that I was thinking of, and so I used like whatever. But anyway, that's exactly.
It's good to do that.
Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and my parents are still alive. I'm lucky in that I have both my parents around, but it still made me like think of just like a fun, something that my mom always did. So
keep those memories alive. Make food a fun part of your life.
Yeah.
So we're at an hour and 5 right now. You want to wrap this up with some closing thoughts?
Yeah, some closing thoughts. So, inventory your life in a sense, all facets from like an objective view. So not like critical and saying, well, this is terrible that I'm doing this and that, but just saying to yourself, okay, where am I starting from? You gotta kind of figure out where you are starting from. Think about what's working and what's not. And in like the what's not working, think about things that like actually matter to you to want to change and why they matter for you in terms of changing. And then create those small goals for yourself. Make sure you have this kind of like broad goal or wellness vision to kind of give you like a roadmap and kind of plan things out. And like be flexible with yourself, I should probably say, is like the biggest thing. You're not a robot. And I said that probably like 3 or 4 times, but
Speak for yourself. I'm a machine. I love machine.
Oh my God. What is this podcast today is just all over the place.
Yeah.
Like punch 15 things.
That's what you get for having me on. And for punching my stuff.
But be flexible with yourself. This isn't, don't the all or nothing. Sometimes this something that people get tripped up on is that they revert back to old ways and they're like, I'm never going to be able to lose weight. And so just thinking of this as a journey, that there's going to be pit stops and things along the way, but just focusing on it's like the whole picture approach. Not discounting your emotions, how you feel about food, whether it's positive or negative, and ask yourself, is this something that's helping me or is it something that's setting me back? And what can I do instead? So if you find that you're like a stress eater or you're someone who is turning to food for comfort a lot and you find that that's something that you want to work on, think about ways that you can kind of, work on it, to say at least. But, again, just being objective when you look at this kind of stuff. It's just really hard to do. And this is where a dietitian can come in.
That's true. And you can contact Felicia at porrazzanutrition.com. Felicia at porrazzanutrition.com is her email address for all business inquiries. If for some weird reason you want to email me, I am Adam at porrazzanutrition.com.
That is.
Fun fact. There's a few things that I do for your business, officially, unofficially.
Yeah.
But that sounds like a good place to end it. Mm-hmm. This one thing I would like to say, just to cap it off, wherever you go.
Oh my God. I should have known.
There you is.
Wow.
It's not about the journey. It's not about the destination. It's about the journey and the friends you make along the way.
Well.
All right, everyone. That'll do it for the Porrazza Nutrition Podcast. Thank you for joining us and tuning in. Find us at youtube.com/Porrazza Nutrition. And we've also been at youtube.com/ a bunch of letters and numbers, but it's My RD Journey.
Yeah.
My RD Journey is a new facet of Felicia's business in which she is focused on helping dietitians become better dietitians to be, get into the craft, and helping dietitians become private practice, self-employed entrepreneurs.
Yes. And if you go to the website, PorrazzaNutrition.com, the links to like YouTube for my RD journey and Porrazza Nutrition are all on there too. So, and the website is newly updated. So I'm throwing that out there.
We are on iTunes.
Yeah, iTunes,
Spotify, whatever.
Google Play.
You listen to
all
podcasts.
Those.
We are available wherever podcasts are downloaded.
Mm-hmm.
You want to take us out?
Thanks for listening or watching.
Wow, you are so graceful.
See, this is
okay.
It's because I'm holding my hands together.
That's what it is.
Thanks for joining us. Whether you're watching us or you are listening to us, maybe on your commute to make it a little better.
Boom.
Wink, wink. I can't wink. Anyway,
you can't wink. There's probably a name for that. That's a medical condition.
Winkless. Anyway.
Yes.
Oh God.
Felicia the Winkless.
So cringy. Anyway, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Join us next time. I think we should probably talk about food and mood next time, actually. I just designed like a whole presentation on that, so I'm pretty well versed in it right now.
Food and mood it is.
Sounds good.
Tune in next time for some food and mood action. That's another motorcycle because we live near a big road and they're just up and down it all day. Thanks for listening to the Porrazza Nutrition Podcast. Check us out next time where we will be discussing
food and mood.
Food and mood.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.